So I'll just introduce quickly myself. My name is Abhishek Jain. I work for a company called Zeus Sumrix Private Limited. We started from IIT Bombay in 2004. And since then, we have been working in the defense sector. Of course, there is a lot of business in the other sectors also, but main work is in the defense sector. And we were the first MSME recipients of the TDF scheme. So we know a great deal about the scheme, and that is what I am going to share today. So everybody, I hope, is able to see the screen and hear me.
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
the screen.
So we'll just then move forward. So what I'll do is, first I'll tell you the scheme in a nutshell. I've made a small flowchart of how the scheme works, what is the website on which you need to log in and apply for the scheme, some rules and regulations, some do's and don'ts, some general advice, and a closure. And of course, as I'm saying that this is not government policy what I'm speaking. For more clarification, of course, they would be available. So what is Technology Development Fund? So basically what happens is currently whatever was made in India was basically getting technology from somebody and then trying to make it in India. But what the TDF scheme envisages is conceptualize, you design, you develop, you test, and then you supply in India. So everything, including the ownership of IP, is Indian. This scheme is administered by the DRDO headquarters, and the services generate the requirements. So the logic is that the services would say, I need this kind of equipment. These are my specifications, or what working or what functioning I require. Those are then converted into mathematical specifications, and then they are posted on TDF website, and then people apply for those projects and get those projects. So the generator of the requirement is the TDF people, the services. Then after the generation of requirements, the DRDO would allocate budget to that and also make a proper specification and a sister laboratory which is working in that area. That would be the reviewer and the consultant. So for example, if somebody is doing a project in missiles, then DRDL Hyderabad may be a reviewer and consultant. And 90% of the project development cost is funded by DRDO. So if we project a budget of 10 crores, which is the maximum limit in the scheme, then 9 crores would be funded by DRDO. So that is the rule of this scheme. Only 10% has to be given by us. The good thing about this scheme is that this scheme is a grant in aid. It's not a soft loan, which basically means you don't need to return any money. It is only for development of technology in the defense sector. Most of the projects that come in here are dual use technologies, like what we are doing is also dual use technology, and they encourage us to export this. So that is not an issue. No collateral is required to be given to the government. No equity is given to the government. So we don't need to give our company shares or pledge a collateral against this scheme. It's a pure grant in aid scheme. And please do not confuse it with the Technology Development Board, which is a DST or DSIR initiative where you get a soft loan. This is not that. This is a Technology Development Fund by DRDO headquarters. And the good news is that from 2020, they are going to include this scheme in the Technology Development Fund scheme in the defense procurement procedure. So it would become very, very official scheme. That means it would grow and many more MSMEs would be funded. So this is the flowchart of this scheme. The first part is the feasibility study of the project. This is always done, but it is optional for the industry. Sometimes what happens is they put up a project proposal for feasibility on the TDF website, where they may want us to do a feasibility study and say that yes, this project is something which can be done in India. In many of the cases, or I may say most of the cases, the feasibility is done by the DRDO headquarters and the services. So suppose they put up something for feasibility, then we need to submit a report and say whether it is feasible or not. And we also need to give them a approximate budget, which would say that this is the kind of budget that is required for doing the project. This again, I say, is an optional. Some projects may go through feasibility, some may not go through feasibility. Now, from here, expression of interest is something which always happens. So what would happen is a small brief technical document would be put up by the DRDO headquarters on the website, and they would invite technical proposals from the industry. They would also invite a budgetary quotation from the industry, which basically says that if you express your interest, you are willing to do this project. And then there would be a committee which would sit and review all the proposals that have been submitted against the expression of interest. And then they would shortlist the technical proposals. And I will tell you in the next slides how the shortlisting happens. Once you are shortlisted, then you would be issued a confidential document which is called the project definition document. And against this project definition document, which basically is a detailed specification of what we need to make, we need to submit a detailed project report. And we need to also submit our firm price. So please understand, in the previous expression of interest phase, we submitted a budgetary quotation which may have been 10-20% here and there. But now in detailed project report, we are submitting a firm price bid. Again, there would be a committee who would see whether the solutions are presented by the industry are technically acceptable or not. And if they are acceptable, then it goes to the selection phase. Now in the selection phase, there can be 2-3 possibilities. The first possibility is that there is only one person who is technically selected. In that case, that person would be given the project based on the price negotiation. The other case may be there are 2 or sometimes more than 2 people who are technically shortlisted. In that case, it may be a decision based on price, where they may say whosoever quotes the lesser price is given the project. It can happen, and which is the most important part, which you should listen carefully. In some cases, it may happen that they may like 2 or more solutions and they may really want the project to succeed. Then they may award the same project to 2 or multiple people, and that is also possible. So there may be 2 companies who would be developing the same product, and whomsoever is able to develop first, faster or better would then be chosen for bulk orders. What is the eligibility of this scheme? So the first thing that happens is you have to be an Indian company for sure, which basically means that 51% of the stake in your company should be held by Indian people. Number one, the company should be incorporated in India, and the directors and CEO, or basically the controlling people of the company, should be Indian. So this is a must. If this is not there, you are not eligible to quote for the project. Preference is given to MSMEs who have a valid registration or an Udyog Aadhaar number which says they are an MSME company. Preference is also given to startup companies who are registered with DIPP. So a preference means that if there are 2 companies quoting for the project, one is an MSME and the other is a large company, then the committee may decide to give the project to a small company without opening a price bid also. Now, in case the MSMEs do not participate in the expression of interest, then large companies would be given the project as per the procedure. In some cases where the technologies are very complicated or it requires huge amount of infrastructure or capital expense, in that case, the government, the DRDO headquarters or the services may decide that this project is not to be reserved for the MSME. So that may also happen, but it is happening not in many cases. It's not very often. This is the website where you will find all the details of the project. You don't need to note it down, write it down. The presentation would be shared with you. Okay. But what basically the first step to go on the website is to register on the website. And you need to give a mobile number and email ID with respect to the registration. So please be careful. Give the mobile or email ID of a person who is not going to leave your company very soon, because most of the important notifications come there. So the registration form is in 2 steps. First, you give your mobile number and your email ID. You get a temporary login. Then you go inside and you fill up a form about your company profile. And then you say, please approve my profile. And then the profile goes for approval. Usually in 1 day, the profile gets approved. Please also remember, you do not require any digital certificate to log into this website. So please keep your password safe. Do not share it with many people. The scheme does not work with any digital certificate, etc. And it's a completely paperless scheme. The papers would come only at the time of signing of contract. Till the time you are shortlisted for the project and they announce that you would be given the project, there is no paper involved. Everything becomes online. And there are various tutorials given on the website, which you can download from the link I have given, and you can read how the scheme works. And please do not wait for last minute for registration or approval. Please do it, if possible, do it today so that you are there. This is how the first registration form looks like. So you give your email ID, your contact number, and your password, your organization name, and how you are registering as. If you are registering as a company, that is fine, or you want to register as an individual. So this registration is mandatory to download the project requirements. Otherwise, you would only be able to see the title of the project, but you would not be able to download the requirements or the specifications of the project. You can also register as an expert. So what happens is, this scheme is only meant for the MSMEs. It is not meant for the academia. So academic people, how they can contribute is in 2 ways. First, they can register as an expert so that people can come finding you. That is one possibility. The second possibility is you can have a tie-up with MSMEs and then do this project. In that case, the limit that can be given to an academic institute is 40%. So if you get a sanction of 8 crores, 40% of 8 crores can be given to the institute, which by the way is quite a large money. So academic institutes, they should form networks with people who are having complementary capabilities and are willing to submit this project proposal. And of course, I am open for that. Let me plug in myself. The most important thing that I wish to say today is read the annexures. And this is the link for that. See, all the rules and regulations of how this scheme is administered is given on the TDF website. And I can show you 1 or 2 annexures after I finish my presentation. So please read them. They give all the rules, and most of the times you don't need to ask people what the rules are and how we need to do something. They're all given there. In fact, the contract that you would sign with the TDF people once you get the project is also given on the website. So you can understand that everything is very, very transparent, is given. And in all those documents, so this slide I say is most important. In this most important slide, the most important part is read the evaluation criteria. So whenever you submit a form or expression of interest, you need to be evaluated. And what they have done to bring in more transparency, the evaluation criteria is given some marks. What is the marks given to the design? What is the marks given to your facility? What is the marks given to your financials? All these are given, and they would give you numbers out of 100. And if you have 65 or 70 marks, then you are pass or shortlisted. Now I'll come to the flowchart that I had shown. Now I'll come to one by one what happens. So feasibility study. This is an optional part of the scheme, usually done by the services or DRDO, sometimes also done by the industry. Feasibility usually is floated when DRDO is not sure of the participation in the project. I am not sure whether people would participate in the project or not, or sometimes people may not be sure whether our industry is capable of doing such a project or not. So again, they would release a form, which is an online form where there are 15 questions to be answered. Most of the questions are technical, and you answer whether technically this is doable or not, and what would be the development approach. Once that is done, then the project is moved forward to the expression of interest. In most of the cases, the project would directly be moved into the expression of interest, or basically something like a tender for the marketing people. It's a very, very short document, or short document, if not very short, and it may not contain all the technical details. Please understand, it may not contain all the technical details. Interaction with DRDO headquarters is allowed during the EOI. You can either go there and meet, or you can give a written representation of the technical queries that you have. Sometimes if the project is very important or there is a lot of confusion, DRDO may also call for a general interaction at a convenient date to all. So that also happens. EOI submission is again online. We need to answer 15 questions like what is your understanding of the project, what is the technical approach of the project, and things like that. And you also need to upload 5 attachments. So the first attachment is an optional attachment which says, are you making an association of person, which I'll explain in some time. It's basically an agreement saying that we are 2 or more partners are quoting for this project. You need to give the timelines, preferably in a Gantt chart. You need to give the financials of the project, which each had written separately, which I'll come to. You need to give a roadmap document. It basically should say what are the steps of development that you will have, what is the kind of experience that you have, and what are the accreditations that you have, like ISO or AS9100, etc. And finally, you write the most important document, response to evaluation criteria. This is the document where you would be given marks and you would be shortlisted or not shortlisted. Now, what is the aim of the EOI form? Okay. So you would understand we Indians are quite lazy, and usually when a detailed tender is given to us, we write comply all and submit back. We sometimes don't even think whether if we are writing comply all, we can actually deliver it or not. So by design, the form is short, and instead of writing comply all, the form forces you to write something which is technically possible. So instead of you writing, yes, whatever you are saying, I need to deliver, I will do it. You need to write what you will deliver, which basically means that you will need to read the project technically, and you will also need to do some calculations. This is very important. Okay. And EOI document usually is short, which one of them I'll show, and only technical competent companies are shortlisted for getting the project definition document. If you are not technically competent, your form is not good, you will not be shortlisted for writing the detailed project report. In response to evaluation criteria, 60 marks are given to the design capability. So whatever you write, 60 marks are given to the design capability, of which 15 marks are given to the proposed configuration. How would it look like? What is the approach to meet functionalities? Indigenous design capability in the subject field. So please understand, 45 marks are only for these 3 things. Configuration, how would you meet the functionalities, and what is your indigenous design capability? 25 marks are on fabrication and manufacturing. Now suppose you do not have the right fabrication setup. That's okay. You can tie up with somebody who has the right setup, and marks would be given based on combined capability. 10 marks would be given on maintainability and life cycle support or timeliness in which you will do the project. And only 5 marks are given to commercial criteria. So it's very, very good for startups and MSMEs who may not have very, very good balance sheets, but may be very innovative. 95% of the marks are given to technical, and only 5% marks are given to financial. And we are the first recipient of project in this scheme. And this is what I wish to show you. This was the expression of interest that was given to us. So you can see it was only one paragraph, and we wrote a 24-page response document, fully technical, based on this one paragraph. Once we were shortlisted, we were given a draft, we were given a project definition document which had qualitative requirements in 14 pages, testing appendix in 14 pages, desired performance curves in 2 pages, and a project definition document in 6 pages. So you can understand now some 36 pages were given to us when we were shortlisted. So if you do not find everything written in the expression of interest document, do not be alarmed. It would come in the next phase. It's just to test whether you can study, do a literature survey, and write something useful or not. Now, once you're shortlisted, you are given the project definition document, which gives all the requirements. It's a confidential document, and that's why it's only given to people who are shortlisted, and it's not supposed to be shared with other people. It's not open to all. That's one. And in some cases, the document may be confidential, and confidential is a special word in government where the document cannot be scanned and other. So there are some rules to that document. Then it may be sent by post after signing an NDA. There is a detailed project report that you need to submit against this project definition document, and a format is given on the TDF website. But basically what you need to write is an overview and scope of the project. What is the kind of infrastructure available with you to do the project? What are the integration requirements? What is the estimated bill of material? What are the preliminary CAD drawings and timelines? What are the critical milestones that you would come? And what are the ways to achieve them? And do you have a quality assurance and a project management plan? And finally, of course, the cost details of the project. Again, to get the project, the DPR must be technically acceptable. And as I said, the TDF people may decide to award the project to one or more development agencies. So industry who gets the project is called the development agency. And from now on, I will say it as a DA. So in some cases, it has been given to multiple vendors. In some cases, it has been given to only one vendor. In case it is given to only one vendor, then of course, whomsoever is costing low would be given. But that's not the only criteria. You have to be technically acceptable. So don't think price is the only criteria. Think more about technical. And in case there is only one party who is technically acceptable, then also they are giving projects. So in tenders, many marketing people would be seeing that projects are not given because it was a resultant single party. Here, that kind of problem is not there. Even if you are a single party, you are given the project. And then, of course, once you are down selected, everything has happened, then you need to sign the legal documents and get the sanction order. This is the comparison of the schemes with respect to the global schemes that are there. So you see European scheme, you see 2 American schemes, you see an Israeli scheme, and you would see how they are funding, what kind of money they are giving. And what we find out is that based on the purchasing power parity, the Technology Development Fund scheme is 17 times more fund than any other scheme. Than the other schemes like the SBIR and STTR of the USA. Can we take the feedback later, please? It's coming on my screen. So it's a very, very well-funded scheme. You are getting $1.5 million kind of money, which you don't even get in these schemes which are given in the United States. And it's lesser than the money that you get in phase 1 of the European schemes. And it is even greater than the money that you get in Israel. So this scheme is very well funded. And based on purchasing power parity, it is 17 times more than what US government is funding. Now, once you get the project, then there is a project mentoring and monitoring group, which is basically there to assist you in developing the product that you have been assigned. So they would take regular meetings to monitor your technical progress. They would tell you whether you are going right or wrong. They would support you in getting all the data that is required to complete the project or to do the design. They will help you in testing. That is also happening. Then they will also help you in liaising with the QA authorities and product approval. I am not doing this arrows. Somebody who is doing it, please. Then approval of milestone completion is also done, and that leads to the reimbursement. So that also happens. So once you complete the milestone, the PMMG would say that yes, you have completed the milestone, and then you will get the reimbursement. And any other issue if the industry is facing, you can take the PMMG as your friends, and you can give your views, and they would try to solve your problem. Now the important part is intellectual property. So IP in this project is jointly owned by the DRDO and the development agency, which basically means that whatever IP you develop in this project is owned jointly. But whatever IP we already had in past, that is owned by the respective agencies. Suppose you had some IP which was before this project, that remains your IP. Only if that IP is required for functioning of this product, then DRDO has a royalty-free license on this IP, and vice versa. They also give a royalty-free license to you when you are exporting, etc. this product to other customers. To prevent cheating, for example, you are now the only person who can give this product, so you may try to increase the price to say 5 times. To prevent that kind of cheating, DRDO has a marching right over the IP, and usually I have not seen them exercising this right. It would only be exercised if we are trying to cheat, or we are being unreasonable, or we fold up our company and there is nobody to make this product, or we are not willing to make the product. I mean, some kind of conditions which are not in their control. In some special cases, the entire IP may also be owned by DRDO, but they tell you upfront. In some projects where they are, for example, developing something very special for missiles, etc., they may want to keep the entire IP to themselves. But in that case also, the bulk production order will come to you. What I would suggest to you is, today there are, I think, 180 participants. Make consortiums. These products that they want us to make are usually multidisciplinary, and one MSME may not have all the capabilities. So we should make consortiums. We should look out for partners who can help us, and we can jointly propose projects. This is called association of persons in the legal parlance. Agreements to make association of persons are also given on the TDF website, not to worry. We can divide the work and the money equitably and unambiguously, and we can propose for a project. And consortium approach reduces the project cost, and it also reduces the strain on the cash flow, because we have to, for 6 months, we have to fund the project, and then only we get the reimbursement. So it's good for that. And it requires just opening a joint bank account statement and signing that agreement form which is given on the DRDO website. So my company is actively looking for consortium partners. If somebody wishes to engage with me, I am happy to do that. Now, once you are writing the price, the funding heads would be so you can claim reimbursement in manpower, you can hire consultants, you can claim reimbursement, you can claim reimbursement for travel, stay, equipment, subcontract, consumables, contingency. You can also buy a new machine in this project, provided that you are only charging for the machine that would be used in this project. So suppose you buy a machine for 50 lakhs and only half the machine is being used in this project, then you can reimburse 25 lakhs from this scheme. But of course, equipment reimbursement is the prerogative of DRDO. You cannot just buy equipment because you are getting money. So, and then you can also have contingency, which can be 15% of the project cost. What you are not allowed to reimburse in this project is permanent building, entertainment, alcohol, parties, seminars, legal cost, etc. The project is divided into 5 milestones. The first milestone is a milestone where you get advance from DRDO, which can be up to 20%, which is against BG. And then there are 4 tangible milestones where you deliver something, and then you, after delivery, you get the reimbursement. For example, in our project, the first milestone was the PDR, preliminary design review approval. The second was the critical design review approval and approval of raw materials. The third one was factory acceptance trial. And the fourth one is the delivery of finished goods in the numbers that they have desired. So you can see now that everything is tangible. When you do a PDR, the report has to be approved. When you do a CDR and raw material, your CDR has to be approved. Your design has to be approved. Your raw material test reports have to be approved. When you are doing a factory acceptance trial, then your test rig has to be approved and your product has to perform in the way that has been mentioned. So like that. And each consortium partner has to maintain bills and invoices properly. So accounting wise, you have to maintain the bills. You, after 6 months, when you have finished your milestone, get your CA to sign those bills and submit to DRDO, and they will directly credit the money into your bank account. And I would strongly advise that you maintain a separate bank account for this project. Now, this is a development project where the products are of medium complexity that are given. It may be possible that you fail in the project. Then what happens? So if you fail to deliver, or the project is technically more challenging than what you have thought, then they will assess the expenditure that has happened and they will pay you that expenditure. There is no penalty in this project. In case excess money has been paid to you, for example, you were given an advance, but you spent only 10% of the advance and you were given 20% advance, then you return the 10% advance. But please understand, there are no penalties. Yes, there can be penalties if you have done some misrepresentation of facts or cheating, and that penalty would be as per the MOD rules. For example, you said, I have bought this machine, and you showed the invoice, but you never bought that machine. So this kind of thing can be a penalty. What are the do's and don'ts? So you should always involve technical people in writing the DPR or the EUI. Person who can do some mathematics. Marketing people who are not technically capable may not be able to write this form, because there is no column which you just write comply and do away with. You have to write something which is intelligent. And there have been cases where people have written real bad things and they have not been shortlisted. For example, somebody said, my company is the greatest company in this area. That does not fly. You have to write, my company can do this because I can generate power this much, I can generate voltage this much, or I can generate RPM this much, or something like that. You of course need to write about your company technical expertise and manpower. So don't write your company is great, write that your company is great because you have achieved something. Do not copy your company profile, because most of the marketing people, they are busy and they want to just copy an old document, a company profile or a brochure, copy and paste here and be done with it. Do not do that. Do not try to brag about the company financials, and don't write a technical write-up. That does not fly. Financials are only 5% in the evaluation criteria. And transfer of technology and manufacturing. See, don't try to say that, I will get the technology from Russia or America and then I will just give it to you. This is not that scheme. This scheme is for developing technology, not buying it from somewhere. And the good thing that has happened in this project now with the draft DPP 2020 is that in case your product is qualified by the agencies, the bulk production order for this would be given only to you, subject to you are reasonable in price, of course. You can't increase the price once you are alone there. And the quantity cannot be reduced, even if DRDO and DPSUs claim that they have developed a similar product. So if they have said that they will buy 100 pumps and you are successfully developing a pump, they will buy 100 pumps. So future production order is already there with you. Your product would be given a seal of Indian designed, developed and manufactured product, and it will have first preference in buying in the government. IDDM is the first preference. Government will also promote you so that you can export this product, and they will not charge any royalty from you. So they also want you to export and earn money and not charge any royalty. So it's your product. Okay. The only thing is there may be some restriction on products which are in the SCOMET list, which you can find out on the internet. And this scheme is now part of the innovation category, chapter 3 of DPP. Somebody who is curious may be inclined to read that document, or I will write an article on that. You may read it after 10 days. I'll write a summary also. Now, and this would be given the highest priority in procurement. So this is the last slide. Basically, I wish to say is that this scheme is very, very transparent. Everything is online. You don't need to meet people. You need to concentrate only on your technical capabilities. Not like you need to know somebody in defense in Delhi or something like that. You just need to know your technical capabilities. Write the form. The evaluation criteria is very transparent. It's like your examination copy being checked and you being given marks. If you are given good marks, then you are automatically there. And please do not wait for submitting the form on the last day. The form is long, it requires thinking. There have been people who tried to submit on the last day and they could not do that. So the moment there is an expression of interest, assign some team who would write the form and write something intelligent. Do not write comply or I am good or I am great or MS Zeus Numix is the best company in this area. That does not fly. You need to write something intelligent on your own, which is mathematically good. In one case, I heard I was with some person who wrote something that I would generate a pressure in gigapascals. Now, gigapascals pressure is generated in a nuclear explosion, not in some kind of an engine. So please be careful about what you are writing. It should be defendable. I would urge you to do your registration today and assign a mobile number and email ID for a person who will stay in your company, and all the notifications would come to these people. SMS notifications come only when you submit some project, and email notifications come when some new project expression of interest is uploaded on the website. So basically what I wish to say is that the scheme is giving money. It's not taking your equity. It's not giving you a loan. It does not wish to take your money back. Failure is also tolerated. The government is trying to handhold you so that your product is approved by QA agencies. And then it's also buying your product in bulk production. So it's basically like a fox and tat. Paisa bhi diya, testing bhi kiya, certification bhi kiya, handholding bhi kiya, IDDM bana diya, bulk purchase bhi kiya. Abhi aur kya chahiye? So it's like everything is given. And these are the contact details of the people who administer the scheme. And as luck would have it, I was preparing the presentation and yesterday night they uploaded so many projects. So I was thinking, what would I say to my participants that how many projects are there? So I think 30-35 crore worth of projects are uploaded yesterday. So have a look at them. Thank you very much. And these are my contact details. So in case you wish to partner me or you need some answers later, etc., they are there. And I think with permission of MCCIA, I can be open for I can be open for question answers.
Thanks, Abhishek. I think we can take a few questions. We still have about 15 minutes left.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Just 20 minutes. I just posted the link on the chat for downloading the presentation. So those who want, they can just copy it and paste it in your browser and you'll get a link and a chance to download the presentation. We'll take some questions. Request people to raise their hand so that I can just see who wants to ask the question. Actually, Abhishek,
there are few questions in the chat box already.
Yeah, but we'll take it here, Amol. So
okay, thank you.
I'll request Rakesh Kular to just ask his question, please. Rakesh?
Hello, where is the link? Hello.
Sir, I cannot see the chat box. I think chat box is better. I will read the questions and then I will answer.
Sure. We have had 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah.
So those who have been posting the questions on chat, you can just raise a hand and we'll do it live over here. Yogesh, can you hear me?
Yeah. This is Yogesh from Cummins College of Engineering, Nagpur.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sir. My question is regarding academic institute. You mentioned 2 ways: one to register as an expert and have a tie-up with MSME. Our institute is already an incubation center. Will it work, or we have to register differently as an expert?
Okay, sorry, I will answer that. I have actually, I have posted one link after you, Prashant sir, because I have put the presentation. The link I have given may expire, so you can go on my
Okay.
website and see this. Yeah, I'll answer you. So, if you have an incubation center and the company is incorporated, there are some startup companies which are incorporated.
Yeah.
Then they can propose for a project and you can be a partner.
Okay, fine, fine. Yeah.
Now,
Okay,
now I'll
Mr.
just read the questions 1 minute. Are individuals eligible for award? No, individuals are not eligible. Only companies are okay, there. Then what else is the question? Let me read it.
Can I request Mr. Praveen to ask his question?
Can the industry already in SEZ participate in this? See, the eligibility criteria is you have to be Indian, and I have already enumerated what is Indian. So you have to be Indian, and whether you are in SEZ or you are in incubator, that does not matter. You have to be MSME and Indian. If you are a startup, then register with DIPP and you can participate.
My question was related. We have all Indian directors, but the ownership is 100% foreign. So is there any slight possibility, or we are straight away disqualified?
Straight away disqualified. The ownership has to be 51% Indian.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
one question by Raghavendra Dubey is how to approach as consortium to you. I mean, you can just write to me, but don't write to me. You also write to other people because you never know who would be important. Then there is one person from DC Brushless Motors. Motors are very, very in demand. I think you should write to me. There are many projects also coming up for motors.
Hello.
Government engineering colleges are not eligible for product development. They have to tie up with companies. Can TDF be granted for suo moto proposals? Suo moto proposal is not as per the procedure, but yes, if you write to them and they like your idea, they will give it to the relevant service. In some cases, it may be all three services may require that. Then you may write to them that all three of them require that, and they may take it up. This is similar to make to accept funding. Yes, this is similar to make to accept funding. Right. IoT opportunities would be coming. How much time? It may take up to 6 months to get the project. Proprietary firms are allowed. Yes, they have to be Indian. But usually, you know, the accounting standards of proprietary firms are lesser as per law rather than private limited. So if it is a private limited, better, but you are allowed. The projects that are mentioned on the last slide can be seen on the DRDO website. Yes, in fact, you need to register and get the problem statements. There would be a document that you can download. Can you provide some common platform? I cannot provide a common platform because I am a company myself. The common platform is that you register as an expert there. How students can participate in it from ENTC colleges. Students should do an internship in startup companies who wish to participate. Students directly cannot participate.
Can I request Rakesh Kullar to ask his question, please?
Yes, please.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. I think my question is partially answered, but just for clarity, my situation is that we are already participating in a project which is from the MOD, which is a Make 2 project.
Yes.
And we are a qualified DA in that. And we are in the stage where the trials will start happening soon. So, can we offer this project for the TDF purposes?
See, TDF usually puts the projects online, and you can offer those. Suo moto still is not a procedure there, but yes, if you want, you can write to them that we wish to offer you. If they respond, it's okay, but that's not the general procedure.
Because this is already Tri Services project. It's already.
Sir, I agree that, but there is no procedure, so you will have to write to them.
We'll have to write to them.
Yeah.
And whom to write to, sir?
I have written the email IDs are already given.
Okay.
On the second last slide. First year startup, yes, they can participate. LLP companies can also participate. Shiva Kumar, no problem. But register yourself with DIPP.
Can I request Eugen Thomas to ask his question, please?
Then Prasad Joshi, government institutes with startups. Startups have to participate. The government institutes should not. I think I've answered this many times. Government institutes, private institutes, whatever academic institute can participate only if you have, if somebody in a company is leading you. So for example, you tie up with me and I put up a project proposal, that is possible. So find out yeah.
Abhishek and Prashant, I must tell you, I'm very, very, very impressed and very, very grateful that this initiative has been taken. I come from a company where we have developed technology, robotics, and are now giving it to Germany, to none other than Bosch.
Okay, so robotics, one project is an upcoming, you should see that, sir.
In robotics is what we are saying. And
robotic,
we have found
sir,
a lot of
sir, in robotics, there is one project which is an upcoming list. I think you should see that project.
Thank you. And thanks a lot. It's wonderful to see this.
Thank you, sir. Eligibility of Indian Industry Association. No, your companies have to apply. They can apply as a consortium of 2, 3, 4, that is okay. But companies have to apply, industry associations don't. So if you are an individual, for example, who has good technology, then tie up with a company. You can do that. PhD scholar, no, again, you have to work with a company. Swapnil Badar, you have to work with a company. You cannot apply individually. I think in chat, I have answered almost all of the questions.
Yeah. I'll just post the link once again for the presentation.
I will do that, sir. I have the latest one.
Okay.
So I'm posting the link. You can see that.
Sure.
What about mid-size company?
MSME as defined by the government of India can apply.
Other than MSME, the scheme is not there?
Large companies also can apply, but the preference is given to MSMEs. As I said, in some cases, large companies are also allowed. There is no preference criteria also. Like the last project we applied was some hydrojet where it was reserved for large companies.
We can do registration.
You can do registration. You please do that. In fact, there have been large companies who have gotten this project already. No problem.
Great.
What is the link to DIP registration that you need to find out online? I mean, that's very simple.
Mr. Santosh is asking whether all ideas should be related to defense.
See, it has to be dual use technology, and in many of the cases or most of the cases, the requirement comes from the website. So you need to read the website. There are already 5 projects worth 30, 35, 40 crores. They are already there. Read those projects, and of the 5, 4 are in electronics domain. So people who are working in electronics, in motors, in antennas, they should be happy. And they were uploaded yesterday only because yesterday lockdown opened. 10% industry. So Rashmi Dharmadhikari, 10% industry contribution is basically, so for example, you propose a project where you say, I would spend 2 crores worth of manpower. So you are anyways giving salary to people. Now what you do is you give those salaries and get 1.8 crore reimbursement. Similarly, when you buy a machine for 25 lakhs, 22.5 lakhs would be given back to you. The Josny George, no, academic institute participation is not mandatory. You can do it alone also. Collaboration is also not mandatory. Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan, you have to put up your proposal based on the website that you see. You can also write to them that I have some innovative idea, but whether forces would like it or not, I do not know. From where do I get the Sandeep Gangane? I already gave you the website. You need to see that. Don't ask me about the list. It's already there on the website.
Shreyas Kolhapuri, can you ask your question?
Where is the link to presentation? Sir, Narayan sir, again I am giving it to you.
Yes. Abhishek, Shreyesh here.
Yeah.
I completely understand that individual cannot can get an award of this project, but if individual registers under as an expert, still he
Yes.
is able to access what all projects are coming up, so that he can go and tie up with others.
Yes, yes, he would be able to see.
Okay, so essentially, to clarify, individual can register under expert and still get an exposure or the
Yes.
details what all projects are coming.
Yeah. Then Mr.
Yeah, thank
UV
you.
Patil, no minimum turnover is required. That's not given. In fact, startups are encouraged to apply because they do not have a turnover.
Okay, so I guess no more questions. Mr. Bedarkar.
I have only Abhishek. This has been a wonderful, what should I say, exposure.
Sir, thank you very much.
To a Government of
आपकी वजह से
India
हुआ है.
scheme, which I mean, in my opinion, this sort of scheme has not been ever put forth, and I
Yes,
think
sir.
it's a fantastic opportunity for all of us to collaborate, to come together, and to make use of this. Every project up till now, manpower is one thing that has never been funded, and I'm extremely pleased to note that
Yes,
the
sir.
manpower is funding has been given.
Sir, there
Abhishek,
is
I
one
will
catch,
ask
sir.
you for pointers on how to, how we
Sir,
can.
but there is one
manpower.
catch.
Sorry, yes, please.
Sir, the catch is that manpower is funded, but suppose you are getting paid say 5 lakhs a month, then that would not fly with them.
No, I'm not. No, Abhishek. The
You are a
idea,
rich
I
man,
think
sir.
you have put it very clearly that this is not. We are not here to rip off the government. We are here to
Yes.
try and deliver something, so that we can really participate in Make in India.
So your earning would happen in the bulk order, sir, not
Yeah,
here.
that's all
So
right.
we should
But
not try to rip
whoever
off.
we
So,
employ, employees, as you said,
Hmm.
are very clearly part and parcel of the. If it is accepted, of course. But I'm sure that we can put together, collaboratively or, put together a good, what should I say, for projects. And we will register and look forward to all those expressions of interest.
yes, sir. So there are 2 underwater projects, one of which is for VLF underwater. This is an electronics plus mechanical item. We are very good in mechanical. If somebody wishes to collaborate with me in that project, I would like to collaborate. Then Himanshu Dave. Sir, shall I answer one more question?
Yeah, sure.
How you
Yeah.
can monetize project once it is done? I already said you can sell it and because some of you may not know the government procedure. So whenever a project is given out in TDF, Himanshu, this is for you. They make what is called an acceptance of necessity, that this is necessary for the government to, and when they give the acceptance, they also give what is the kind of numbers they are looking for purchase. So for example, they are looking for purchasing say a composite pump, and they say okay, 100 pumps per annum should be purchased for 5 years. So then this 500 pumps would be definitely purchased from you, unless and until of course you become greedy and try to rip off the government.
Okay, I guess one last question from Mr. Joshi. He has raised his hand. Can you ask your question, Mr. Joshi?
Yeah, good afternoon. Abhishek, it was a very good presentation. And Prashant, my question is to you actually. Because the procedure which Abhishek has given is very clear.
Okay.
My question is like, I actually come from a background of DRDO. I worked for DRDO for 22 years. And now I'm managing a engineering college at Nagpur. So I would
Hello,
like
sir. Which lab, sir?
I was with ARD, Pune.
Oh, wow, sir. I worked with ARD most of the projects we have done for ARD only, sir. Nice to meet you, sir.
Great. I was there till 2007.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So my query is like this, that I would like to play a dual role. Maybe being an engineering college principal, I would like to form a consortium with some companies to take up some projects as an academia. Or the other way is like, I would like to utilize my expertise for guiding somebody's projects or writing the proposals, or maybe on review of the project. So how do I get into that?
Okay, sir, I got your mail. I replied to you in the morning. I'll catch up with you after this session.
Okay, that's nice.
But just I would like to add that having a DRDO person writing the form is nothing like it, because they know the procedure on how technical reports and feasibilities are written. It's a big thing, sir, if you are offering to help. That is one. Second, sir, I think Joshi sir, you should help us in setting up of testing facilities. See, most of the MSMEs don't have the land required or other things to test. And you know, some of the things can be really bulky to test. Like, for example, we need to test something in rockets, which in ARD, it happens a lot. You need so much of space to keep the rocket itself.
Correct.
So the DRDO would be funding the testing facility, but maybe you can provide the space, and then there can be some commercial engagement.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can think about it. Yeah.
So I'll catch up with you after this session, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I guess we have come to the end of the session. 2 minutes left. So thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for giving a very comprehensive presentation, especially the do's and don'ts and the precautions you have to take. So I have already shared my email ID. I'll do it once again in the chat. So in case some other questions are there, we can take it up with you offline, or probably we can do a session, another session in some time.
Yes, please. We can do that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for joining. We have to do a hard stop at 11:30. So we'll be signing off this session. Thanks once again. Thank you.